Hey guys, welcome to question FM357 of the Further Maths Fortify study guide. This question reads, Christian rides his bike along a bush trail that leads directly north from his home. The graph below shows Christian's distance from home over a 5-hour bike ride. And then we're given a graph that looks a little bit like this one. We're then given 5 options and told to find out which one of the following statements is true. So we're going to go through these and mark them as true and false, and then hopefully that leaves us with an answer. So statement A says Christian is getting closer to his home between 10:30 and 11 a.m. So this is the interval that we're looking at here, 10:30 and 11 a.m. We mark A as false because this graph is mapping the change in Christian's distance compared to time. And what we can see is that between 10:30 and 11 a.m, his distance isn't changing. And it's important to note that this distance is the distance from home. So he is constantly 10 kilometers away from home in this little interval here, meaning that he is standing still for that little half an hour. So maybe he took a break, but it is false that he is getting closer to home in that time. Statement B says Christian is traveling fastest between 12 p.m. and 12:30 p.m. So we're looking at this little interval here now. And what you might notice is that he has traveled 10 kilometers. So the difference between these 2 points here is 10 kilometers in half an hour. We know that this isn't his fastest because he travels over here 15 kilometers in half an hour, just here. Now there's some other examples you might be able to use, but this is a nice sort of simple one. He's travelled 15 kilometres in half an hour between 11 and 11:30 a.m, which he must have been travelling faster during this time because he's travelled further in the same amount of time. So B is also false. C, Christian is 45 kilometres away at his furthest distance from home. Well, this interval here between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m. is actually the furthest that he is from home, and that tops out at 40 kilometers. So once again, statement C is false. Statement D says Christian begins and ends his bike ride at 2 different locations. Well, since this distance that we're measuring here is his distance from home, and we can see that his distance from home is 0 kilometers to begin with, he then travels 40 kilometers away and then comes back to home again. We would say that he starts and finishes in 2 different locations if he finished and his distance from home was different, but seeing as his distance from home was 0 at the end of his trip, we can assume that he started at home and then came back to home. So statement D is also false. Statement E says Christian stops for an hour and a half in total. Well, we can assume that he stops for half an hour here between 10:30 and 11 a.m, so there's half an hour. And we can then say that he stops for an hour between 12:30 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. So all up, that is an hour and a half of stopping, which means statement E is true and is of course our correct answer. If you guys have any questions about this question, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.